Undertale by Toby Fox. The universal destroyer of Undertale's countless fan creations, the glitch Error Sans. A Sans with glitched abilities capable of destroying entire alternate universes, timelines, and even the multiverse, like seen in Underverse. With just a pull of one of his glitched strings that he wrapped around the papers representing the alternate universes inside of the doodle sphere representing the multiverse. We go back in time to an older GENO SANS timeline where the happy ending was achieved. Everyone happily living on the surface, but GENO SANS decides to start experimenting with determination magic again. What could go wrong? Getting sent to the insanity and glitch-inducing anti-void. His absolute hate for everyone but himself before being fully corrupted into who we now know as a chaotic evil, glitched beyond repair, anomaly destroying Error Sans. A glitch with the ability to use blue strings that generate from the inside of his eye sockets. These dangerous strings can tie up souls and take control of the host's body and magic, capturing souls and shattering souls, using these strings as a sort of host replacement technique as a main way to complete his missions. Error Sans being capable of manipulating code and seeing code. Error begins going around, destroying alternate universes, outcodes, and taking trophies from his thankless job of destroying and removing the abominations from the multiverse. Error being a glitch, there are certain ways you can interpret his speech. Number 1, most known is Error's dialogue noise in Underverse. Number 2 is Error's talking, sounding similar to a stutter with a glitched and broken effect. Error Sans had an Ask blog where essentially lore, facts, and stories could be told about Error's story and character. Error being known as comedic and or childish at times, like Error telling a viewer that he is anomaly number 1 when asked, or talking to puppets he seemingly made. It is also key to note that Error is so glitched, a living error. His physical body and his mental stability is always in question. This guy is insane, going from one feeling to rage in moments, going from one subject to another, rant to rant. His motives, his abilities, his thought process, everything about him is vague. He seemingly will destroy anything he doesn't like, and keep things he does like. Even this isn't a rule he goes by. A plot point was made from his encounter with a timeline where Undyne was the last survivor. Error was about to make a move, but Core Frisk makes an appearance to try and save Undyne and mistakenly Error Sans from the timeline. Fortunately, Core Frisk and Undyne were able to escape Error to the Omega timeline. Error then says that whenever he finds this timeline, it would make his job a lot easier. A little skit of Error showing he has half a phobia, the fear of being touched, which can also be seen in Underverse. The voices press Error about underswap, so Error makes a threshold to underswap, where underswap papyrus is waiting for someone in the Judgment Hall, but is surprised to see Error Sans. Then proceeds to pull Underswap Sans by the soul into the room, giving an expression I can only explain as insane. Error Sans telling Papyrus that when he is seeing everyone disappear, that Underswap Sans was just hanging out with him the whole time, unwillingly. Then Error uses the blue strings on Sans to fight Papyrus, proceeding to force Sans into attacking his own brother, and just talking like this isn't a very horrible thing to be doing. Error Sans explaining how he loves examining the code of Underswap, how the probability of their universe existing is in 9,109,043,495 to 1 of existing, telling Papyrus that this universe is just an accident, just a blip on radar, unwanted static, that there should only be one, Undertale. Underswap Sans seems to get into Error's head with the positive thought that Error just needs to be talked to, but Error once again, being unpredictable, decided to take what Sans offered to heart. But Papyrus takes action, using Gaster Blasters to blast the connection of strings that was on Sans' soul and punting Error into the shadow of the Judgment Hall. And of course, Error is now in full fight mode. Blasters are fired left and right. Error lands on the ground, but his bad eyesight is shown, having been unable to see a bone attack coming, and again, being unable to tell what Papyrus's next move would be until it gets too close for comfort. Error quickly uses his strings to lock Papyrus in place before getting close and slams him to the ground. Also, this image had to have been an inspiration for that scene for Underverse, and I love it. Papyrus begins talking about how they are brothers, and in a weird way it is true, making Error hesitate even more with harming Papyrus. Papyrus's words make Error go into his super glitch state, rendering Error's already bad eyesight filled with errors. With Error's body barely holding shape, he uses his glitched pathways to escape Underswap. Papyrus speaks up again, causing Error to use his strings to reach into the world and pull Sans into the anti-void. Sans begs for help, but Papyrus can't do anything in time before the glitch gate closes. Error Sans then shows off puppets and friend number 11, Blueberry Sans. So it does seem that getting corrupted does take more than a few days or weeks. We now also get to see where Error Tale began as just a dare. Challenged me to do something creepy / nightmare fuelish, along with this image. And this comic of Frisk walking through the woods, expecting to see a normal Sans, but blue strings and errors appear, grabbing Frisk's soul and dragging them out of existence. Error saying that if they were really friends, they wouldn't come back. Now a reference to Under Novella, Error wanting to kill them, but the story is too good, as also seen in Underverse. Someone mentions Underfresh. Error is unaware of Underfresh, but then Underfresh Sans appears, saying, in this world it's skates, or be skates. But Error saves the multiverse. We get some more art for Error abusing Undertale Frisk. Very nice. Error Sans is asked about Outer Tale, so he goes into the world, and he gets distracted by the bright, glowing space sky. Someone mentions the possibility of other errors, Error says that he is unaware of any other errors like himself. But then we get images of Papyrus bubbling up a red human soul, with an error coming from his eye. We learn that Error has glasses to combat his bad vision. He does look less intimidating, but he really should start using them. Error and Fresh meet again. Error goes ahead and pulls out his strings to ready an attack. But the parasite that is infecting Fresh escapes this situation, freaking Error Sans out and leaving a traumatized Sans behind. It is shown that Error is the only one that can hear these voices, aka the asks by the viewers. Blueberry answers a question about hanging out with Error, the suffocating quiet of the anti-void, and wanting the viewers to tell Papyrus he is okay, and Error calling his answer lame. Error suddenly slaps his glasses onto Blueberry. Error still pulls the look off better. A viewer asks Blueberry about what he thinks of Error about what he did. Blueberry explaining how upset he is, but that he will never hate. That hate is a virus, and that hating him will only make things worse. Another viewer asks if Blueberry thinks that Error could become a good person if they try. Blueberry explains that he believes that every soul is capable of evils and good deeds, and that being good after being hateful would be quite a hard thing to do, or not even knowing how to change their ways. After hearing this, Error goes into his glitch state, and then releases Blueberry, since he isn't a threat. A viewer asks if Underswap Sans likes chocolate. Blueberry answers that he does, so Error takes out 2 chocolate bars that he stole from Underfell. I am going to guess that he stole the chocolate just like he did in Underverse. Error says that the chocolate is an apology for slapping him with glasses. Error then proceeds to open his mouth and a blue multi-ended tongue grabs the chocolate bar and eats it whole. A new question answered by Blueberry tells us that this anti-void has no shadows, no noise, and seems to be a perfect white. One of the voices causes Error to regurgitate a chocolate wrapper and tossing it back into Underfell, landing on Fell Sans' head as he yells about his missing stuff and his fucking chocolate. Voices questions leads Error into teaching Blueberry about the multiverse. Your entire existence has been lived out in a singular universe, playfully named Underswap. But beyond that horizon lies a near infinite amount of alternate existences. These AUs, or alternate universes, are so many in number, it is pretty much impossible to count them all. Every decision we make sprouts a new universe. Likewise, every conceivable version of us exists somewhere. Makes you feel pretty small, huh? I really do hate them. Underswap Sans, now knowing the true insignificance of themselves, with the existence of a multiverse infinitely growing and incomprehensible, begins to stutter and shudder. Brought to his knees, Error being unable to know what to do or feel in this situation, he just goes with telling Blueberry to stop. This doesn't work, resulting in Error crashing and needing to reboot himself. And this is actually the thing that helps Sans stop his mental breakdown, and Error not wanting to share that stress seemingly defeated him. We jump back to Underswap, and we get to see Core Frisk, wishing to help this Papyrus. A new question ends up with Error trying to learn how to knit from Blueberry. A viewer asks if Blueberry has seen Under Novella. and Error goes into full fanboy mode, saying that Undernovella is one of the most interesting universes he likes to visit. So interesting, he can't kill them. Error states that Asgoro, the lead kingpin of an illegal drug trade operation that he never wished to be a part of and was passed down to him, is Error's favorite character. Toriel, disapproving of Asgoro's work, even if it wasn't his choice to make, was having a secret love affair with Sin, this universe's Sans. Plus, Sin is the best assassin in that side of the underground. Error states that he can't speak Spanish, but he pieced things together, which makes me think he is making his own plot to the story, and the real story is something completely different, since this guy's legit insane. More questions appear that Error refuses to answer, saying that the memories of his past has always had a lot of holes. Blueberry tries and fails to get any info from Error. Many more questions appear back to back, making Error break his story silence. Error opens up a window to his earliest memory. Nothing else can be remembered before this event. In this memory, we see the ruins doors and a glitched rift opening with Error running through it, falling to the ground in a heavily glitched state. Error being out of breath and seeing him wearing his glasses. The glitching subsides as he rests for a moment, then bursting out in laughter. He is finally free from the anti-void, but this sudden change from nothing to a colorful world brings him to panic. Actually,
It's too much to look at, isn't it? This is too much. Go back. This is insane. We'll kill you. The place is already too colorful. Go back.
But Error forces himself to sit at the ruins doors for a while, to think and adjust to his new environment. Error says a pun when he gains his composure, and Toriel responds back with a pun. Error seems to learn that his name was Sans only just now. Toriel also says that Error sounds like Sans, which would mean Error's voice wasn't glitched out just yet, which would make sense since we don't see errors around his body and words like current error. Error goes ahead and plays along with the Toriel behind the door, taking the place of the Sans that is supposed to be there later. Blueberry comments on seeing Queen Toriel hiding in the ruins instead of ruling the underground. Error says that in most universes, Toriel leaves, so underswap is unique in that plot point. After some talking to Toriel, he goes back into the anti-void, because at the end of the day, it was safer, more comfortable, and predictable in its nothingness. Error begins to come back to talk to Toriel over and over again, because it was a very needed change of scenery. Toriel suddenly asks if the human child is safe. Error is unaware of a child ever leaving the ruins, so Toriel rightfully freaks out, telling him not to play games, and that he has been protecting them this whole time. Toriel says she is going to leave immediately, but Error freaks out. Toriel notices the change in Sans' voice as we see errors begin to form around Error's dialogue. Error calls Toriel Tori, and there is a noticeable silence. Toriel says that she has never stated her name, questioning if this person is truly Sans. We see Toriel proceed to pass through the door, and we see a Toriel that I have never seen before. Welcome to Spectertale. Error and Blueberry are surprised that Toriel seems to be a ghost. Error says that he really doesn't remember the rest, so he keeps this window open to keep watching. Toriel comments that Error is in a corporeal form, asking if he is possessing a dummy. Error says that Tori was never a ghost and that he isn't the problem here. But the Sans of this universe approaches, telling Error that he isn't from this area. Spectre Sans telling Error that it looks like he has seen a ghost, but then says that they are kinda creepy. Toriel crossing her arms in disapproval at Spectre Sans for not helping Error feel comfortable. Error reaches a new level of panic and glitching as he goes down to the ground, grabbing at his face, before yelling at them, saying,
Get away from me, you filthy glitches! You don't even realize you shouldn't exist.
But it seems that Error didn't even know that he had these strings, and Spectre Sans questioning if Error Sans has any ill intent, since Spectre Sans has seen reports of a second anomaly pulling chunks out of this world. Error seems to be very confused, thinking he didn't say what he just said, that he wouldn't destroy the universe, that his eyes hurt. Error says that they are trying to make him the bad guy, that he didn't lie. They are the bad guy, asking if they had fun playing games with him, yelling about how much fun they are having, pulling on his strings, and then attacking the ghosts. Underswap Sans doesn't wish to see what happens next, so he wants Error to continue without him near, but Error says that he caught him, Blueberry being a dirty little liar. Blueberry doesn't know what Error is talking about, but Error tells him to cut the crap, saying that Blueberry ruined story time, saying that he was faking this whole friendship, that it's all making him sick. Error wants Blueberry to be honest with him, then saying that he destroyed everything that Blueberry loved, then showing a red human soul. Underswap Chara's soul from Blueberry's universe, explaining everything Error did to get to this point with this timeline of Underswap. Error watched, waited, and planned, so no backup plan could undo his work. Error wanting to see anger, a response from Blueberry, but Blueberry ignores him before saying that he made him watch as Error tried to kill his brother. He almost made him kill his own papyrus. Blueberry says that he isn't going to do anything. Plus, he thinks that Error doesn't really want a fight. Error seems confused as Blueberry says Error is scared of him. Blueberry says that he has Mr. Murderer all figured out. Error says that Blueberry can't be serious. Blueberry says that Error's true weakness is friendship. Error glitched out, making Blueberry think that he is right. As he is about to go in for a hug, Error flings the soul away. Error states that he is done with him, since he is having so much fun playing with Error. He has a new game for them to play, being called Leave the Blueberry in the Anti-Void until he begs to be brought back. Now that Blueberry is alone in the Anti-Void, he keeps the soul as company as he finds a way out of the Anti-Void. Blueberry now spending time alone in the void, playing with the soul, pacing around the space, sitting down, dropping the soul, yelling at the white space, yelling at the soul, and even stepping on the soul, and then finally resting on the ground as we go from top to bottom, zooming on Blueberry's face, and Blueberry can now hear the voices. We now take some peeks from the past, a post from Under Novella, Error Sans opening up a window into Under Novella asking for an autograph from Asgoro. Asgoro seems to not like to see two more skeletons, so a mix of attacks whoosh through the window. Error says that an autograph is a small price to pay for not having him destroy their universe. Error is going to get that autograph one day, no matter what. An ask during Error's earliest memory makes Error say that he didn't ever have those types of feelings towards Toriel, but saying that he did enjoy her laugh. She was really cool, but he probably killed her. He can't remember if he did or not before leaving Spectertale, since he has a very bad memory. We get another ask during the earliest memory. We see Blueberry tossing the milkshake he was having as he reacts to Error about to begin his attack on the ghosts. Error has the milkshake go through a window, falling onto Underfell Sans. Underswap Sans says he is getting used to Error Sans' scary qualities, but he touches his shoulder and Error glitches out because of his phobia, and Blueberry apologizes. We get a new post for Underswap. Core Frisk explaining that they want to bring Papyrus to the Omega timeline, error-free. Papyrus wants Core Frisk to take him to find his brother, but Core Frisk explains that they can't do that, that even with omnipresence, the location is hidden from their view, and that they can only bring people to the Omega timeline, nowhere else. Core Frisk explains that if Papyrus chooses to stay in this timeline, he will just go mad, and if Error returns to finish the job, he will gloat in Papyrus's face and remove the timeline from existence, saying that leaving with them is Papyrus's only good option. We suddenly get dialogue from two Errors, one purple and one blue. Do you think he's going to accept the deal? He'd be stupid not to. That looks like a yes. Oh, that's too bad. I was hoping I could keep him. Perhaps I wouldn't have let you. Let's let Core Frisk keep this one anyway. You wouldn't want him so obsessed with revenge. Yes, I would. Clearly he needs a good friend. I think you have enough new friends for a while. Besides, me and Core got ourselves a deal. Remember Papyrus? We don't interfere with them, and they don't interfere with us. And we get a look at the speakers, and it is the glitched versions of Papyrus and Undyne. We come back to Blueberry, and he is bugging. More than 300 voices can be heard for Blueberry at once, saying that it's a lot to handle. Blueberry then saying he is okay, I think, just wishing to get out to see his Papyrus, that this place is getting to his head, hoping that these new voices he can hear are real. The voices help Sans get back into his lovely self, but he gets reminded of the soul he left on the ground, saying sorry for how he acted. Blueberry continues answering the voices' questions. A voice says that if he absorbed the soul, he might be able to escape. This is something that Delta Sans had utilized to travel to other universes after failing his own. Blueberry refuses, saying he doesn't wish to hurt the human. A voice asks Blueberry, "How did you feel when Error said there was millions upon millions of other alternate universes like yours?" Blueberry responds with, well, I certainly wasn't feeling good. The whole situation was way too overwhelming. Truth is, even if I get out, which I want to, I don't even know a thing about the multiverse, much less how to navigate it. But when I escape, I'll do my best to learn. A new voice asks Blueberry, do you miss Error Sans? Do you hate him for possessing you? And Blueberry responds with, well, I don't hate him. He's no longer here to pressure me to say anything, but I never lied on this point. And to be honest, I do miss him. Before you get upset, let me explain why. The fact he took my life, my bro, my world away from me is not forgotten. When I realized he might break this soul, I used every weakness I had learned about Error against him. When he left, that's when I attempted to escape. But to be truthful, I was planning to come back for him once I found help. He can't be the only being so knowledgeable about the multiverse. There has to be someone out there that knows how to help him. At the end of the day, he's still a Sans, still some version of me. And after being in here with this awful silence and being so alone, it's no wonder he went mad. It's no wonder he hurts so many people. He needs help. He's hurting billions of lives, and he's hurting himself. I will do everything in my power to save what's left of him. And if I save him, I help protect the rest of the multiverse. We now see Papyrus walking through the door that Core Frisk made, being greeted by Disbelief Papyrus and Dancetail Sans. Disbelief Papyrus wants to show Underswap Papyrus around, and Dancetail Sans tells Underswap Papyrus that they have a couple of people from Underswap here, that they might help him feel better in the short term. Plus, they have a club. Underswap Papyrus sees an Underswap Sans and runs right to him, asking how he escaped that Error guy, catching the attention of an Underfell Sans and a Scientist Sans. We jump back to Blueberry answering the voices. The voices ask if the Void will have the same effects to Blueberry as it did to Error. Blueberry says he certainly hopes not, and that he tried to escape, but didn't learn how Error does it. A new ask makes Blueberry feel near his eye socket, and we see errors begin to appear. This makes Sans get up and begin to call out to Error, saying he won, and that he was sorry. We get a shot of where Error is, and he is in Outer Tail, trying to knit, yelling about how stupid it is. Error is also now available for questions again, saying that since Blueberry isn't around, he had time to destroy 2 universes, saying it is like the good old days. A final ask before the hiatus asks about if Blueberry truly deserved being left alone in the void. Error saying that was the worst question ever, saying he was trying to manipulate him, learning his weaknesses, and using them against him. He is just an awful glitch, an abomination. But Error tries to calm down, even though he now can't see. Whoop-dee-freaking-do. And this is where the large hiatus occurs. They were very mentally and physically exhausted, now putting all of their effort on Aftertale, which is now complete. During the hiatus, we get an official Blueberry Error design, named Blueberror. Looking at the lore for him, he wouldn't exactly be a dangerous Error, because he didn't have any ill will towards anyone during his transition. Most, or the heart of what makes an Error dangerous, is their final thoughts before turning into an Error. Something to also note, once you are errored, there is no way to uncorrupt yourself, like being unable to use a corrupted file. When Error would have found Blueberror, he wouldn't have liked this outcome at all. Blueberror would have been furious at Error, nearly trying to kill him. but eventually wanting to help those in the Omega timeline per Frisk's permission. Sort of like a helpful error. Blueberror is an error that would like to socialize, even getting into the Omega timeline when found to be non-dangerous. Blueberror even giving the blueberry that was in the Omega timeline his world, so he can have his happy ending there. Error Undyne would later become a very dangerous entity, going into a murderous rage after seeing Error in his glasses, thinking they were Alphuses. Error being a lot less dangerous than we think, but Error Undyne being the true danger when it comes to destruction and competence. Blueberror, still trying to be a good Error, tries to get Error to assist in stopping Error Undyne. Error accepts, for the sole reason of her existing pissing him off. The Omega timeline would turn into a team to end Error Undyne's destruction, as Blueberror makes a home of the Omega timeline. Error probably making a deal to not destroy the Omega timeline because they assisted in ending Error Undyne. After this, many things are mostly up for fan canons, a story not yet properly told. Everything seems to hit a wall a few years ago, but I found this post. A viewer asking about if the Ask Error is done forever, and they respond with definitely. That every time they go to record or write it out, their mind floods with how bad or how hard things were back then, resulting in it becoming too difficult to do anything about it. They work so hard trying to keep up with the demands, the asks, the attention. It went too far, and they aren't going back. These videos are for your endless amount of fans and the 9-year strong community. Take care of yourself, Crayon Queen and viewers. We are not done just yet. We have some fan-made work from Roseworks showing Blueberry in the process of turning into an Error. Error opening a window to step through, hearing sobbing from Blueberry, saying that it hurts, that it is so loud, as he shakes and squirms. Error seems to be worried as he reaches down and lays a hand on Blueberror, saying, "I know." We get some more fan art of the future, and we see a glitched window open, and we get to see Error say, "Don't get too excited, I'm only here for my..." As he sees Blueberror, Blueberror jumps up to his feet and runs over to Error, but he completely glitches past him, ending up on the ground. Error seeming to not like what he is seeing, but Blueberror making a joke of the situation, and of course, making Error uncomfortable. We get more fan art from a further future. Blueberror appears from a glitched window, and Papyrus stating that he knew that Blueberry would show up if he waited long enough. But unfortunately, Blueberry, now being an Error, has lost a large chunk of his memories, saying, I'm sorry, do I know you?" Papyrus trying to explain, but Blueberror asks, "Where is he? Where is my brother?" This is one of the ideas that was tossed around, Error being captured by the people of the Omega timeline. Blueberror now associating Error as his brother, and not Papyrus. Blueberry now completely changed, and unable to recognize his Papyrus at all. Error now continues life in the community through many fan stories, canons, music, animations, and much, much more. One of the most popular continuations / canons is Underverse, where at some point Ink Sans and Error Sans made a truce. No more creation, no more destruction. Error saying he could easily take everyone as his puppets and erase everything forever, but he would rather see the game that Ink is playing. This ties into what Loverofpiggies had said about Error. He acts childish at times. Plus his poor eyesight and memory, he isn't as dangerous as he could be, and isn't as dangerous as Error Undyne. I did just realize this, but Error's new clothes are stitched together, which would imply that because of Underswap Sans, Error learned how to sew, and he sewed up his new clothes in Underverse's canon. We get to see Error watching under novella, Ink inserting himself, us getting to see Error's glitched out state, Error finally having enough of Ink and his game with that gaster, making a glitched window and floating through it into the doodle sphere, full of hanging pages representing the alternate universes. Error pulling at his eye sockets and tying up all of the pages with his blue strings. Error enters X-Tale, and we get a show of fresh sands. We also get to see just how much Error hates the guy. Fresh threatens Error with a hug, and it works. Error gets a peek at what is happening in X-Tale, and Error laughing for his victory. Our truce is over. Error appears in Outer Tale looking for Ink. Nightmare Sans gives away Classic and Outer Tale Sans' position, having Error jump at the opportunity to capture them with his strings. Error calling Fell Sans Anomaly 13. Error using his strings to use Classic, Swap, and Fell Sans' souls. Attacking Ink, drawing Ink, and putting away the vial Ink was protecting with his strings. Starting the Ink versus Error fight. The fight ends with a standoff, calling Ink a psycho, that he never should have negotiated with him before Error transports the entire area to the expansive doodle sphere, and with one pull of the string, he destroyed the entire multiverse in this reality, this verse, this Underverse. But Error is still able to be taken down with some paint and forced back into his anti-void, and gets his trophy stolen from him. Error demonstrating that he can just open windows to a place and use his strings to just snatch people. And of course, him still being a crybaby, wanting attention from the multiverse he just destroyed, and him still being able to be snuck up on, but also being capable of very large attacks like this one. More of Error being childish. Even after just saying kill, he instead makes Cross Sans hit himself over and over. Error trapping Cross in a devastating attack. If not for Ink, he would not have survived. Ink then pointing one of his own blasters at Error, and Error does not move in time. Error appears once again, all battered from his own blaster attack, and Error then uses his strings on his blasters like leashes to throw them at Fresh Ink. Error pulling on the strings wrapped around Fresh Ink with straight anger on his face, but having a poor reaction time causes him to be hit with a powerful attack. In the end, it makes him just leave the fight, having been defeated. And that will be the end for Season 1 of Canon Error's story, plus Underverse Error and fan add-ons for 2024. Why do I say Season 1? Because there is a Season 2 that was made, but as of this video's script being finished, there hasn't been a post since March 23rd, 2024. Even Error Season 2 has a hiatus occurring. Let me know if you would like me to explain Season 2 up to the hiatus. Creators, artists, and writers, continue creating and being yourselves. Please, Take care of yourselves. None of us are perfect. I know I am very far from it. This is me, signing out. Undertale's Memory, Melodic Mid-Tempo by Exudo Code.